What if the reason you wake up tired at 65 isn't because you're just getting older, but because your brain is starving for a very specific type of fuel? Stay with me, this one's important. Not tired because your body is failing you, tired because most mornings your brain is running on the wrong kind of fuel entirely, and that's something you can actually do something about. Today I'm going to explain exactly why that happens and how something as small as what you stir into your morning coffee can change it. Honestly, no miracle words, just the real science explained simply. Hi, I'm so glad you're here. If mornings have started feeling heavier than they used to, if you find yourself staring into the fridge forgetting what you walked in there for, or feeling like your first coffee barely touches the fog, I want you to know, first, you're not broken, and second, there's a real physical reason this happens as we age. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what's happening inside your body most mornings. You'll have a full senior morning checklist to follow, a list of the most common mistakes people make, and, just as important, a clear, honest answer about whether this routine is right for you. Let me tell you about someone I'll call Frank. Frank is 68, retired 2 years ago, and for the first year of retirement, he figured the tiredness he felt every morning was just part of getting older. He'd wake up, make his coffee the same way he had for 30 years, and by 9 a.m., he'd already feel like his brain was wading through mud. He'd forget why he walked into a room. He'd read the same paragraph of the newspaper 3 times. By early afternoon, he needed a nap just to get through the rest of his day. His coffee gave him a jolt for maybe 45 minutes, then dropped him right back down, sometimes worse than before. One Tuesday, Frank almost missed his own granddaughter's video call because he'd genuinely forgotten it was scheduled, even though he'd written it on the calendar himself 2 days earlier. He told me later that moment scared him more than he let on. Not because he thought something was seriously wrong, but because he didn't recognize himself in that fog anymore. Frank isn't unusual. In fact, if this sounds familiar to you, I want you to really hear this next part, because it's the whole key to today's video. What Frank was experiencing has a name and a reason, and it's more common after 60 than almost anyone tells you. Your brain, more than almost any other organ, needs a steady, constant supply of fuel. For most of your life, that fuel is glucose, sugar from the food you eat. Your brain runs on it constantly, even while you sleep. But here's what almost nobody explains to people your age. As we get older, many of us become less efficient at moving glucose from our blood into our brain cells. Researchers call this reduced insulin sensitivity, but forget that phrase. Think of it like a delivery truck that used to pull right up to the front door and now has to park down the block and walk the groceries in. The fuel is still out there, it's just having a harder time getting where it needs to go. That delay is a big part of why so many people over 60 feel foggy in the morning, why concentration feels harder, why energy dips faster than it used to. It's not laziness. It's not just aging in some vague, hopeless way. It's a specific physical fuel delivery problem. Now here's the encouraging part, and the actual reason MCT oil became part of this conversation in the first place. Your brain has a backup fuel system. It's always been there, in all of us, at every age. It just needs a different kind of fuel to switch on, something called ketones. Ketones are a completely different fuel source that your liver can produce. And here's the connection to your coffee. MCT oil is one of the fastest, easiest ways to give your liver the raw material to make them. Unlike most fats, which take hours to digest, MCT oil skips most of that long digestive process and goes almost straight to your liver, where it's converted into ketones within minutes, not hours. Think of it like this. If glucose is a delivery truck stuck finding parking, ketones are a helicopter that lands directly on the roof. Same building, same brain, completely different route in. One that doesn't rely on that delivery system that slows down with age. That's the real science. Not magic, not reactivation of anything mysterious, just giving your brain a second, faster fuel option, especially useful on mornings when the usual route is running slow. There's another piece of this worth understanding simply. Inside every cell in your body, you have tiny structures called mitochondria. You can think of them as little power plants. As we age, these power plants naturally become a bit less efficient, which is part of normal aging, not a disease. Ketones happen to be a fuel these power plants can often use more easily than glucose, which is part of why people frequently describe feeling steadier and clearer after their body adjusts to using them. I want to be careful here because I promised you honesty. This is an area of real, ongoing research, not a settled, simple fact. But the basic mechanism, MCT oil, quickly converted to ketones, used as alternate brain fuel, that part is well established. You might be wondering why this glucose delivery slowdown tends to show up more after 60 in the first place. It's usually not any single cause. Hormone levels shift. Many of us move a little less than we did at 40. Years of daily life quietly change how efficiently our bodies handle sugar. None of that is a personal failing. It's just biology. The same way hair going gray is biology. But it does mean the backup generator we talked about becomes genuinely more useful with age, not less. So let's go back to Frank. After his daughter sent him an article about this, a responsible one, thankfully, not one making wild promises, Frank decided to try adding a small amount of MCT oil to his morning coffee. He didn't change anything else about his routine. Same coffee, same mug, same chair by the window. The first few days, honestly, he didn't notice much. But by about the second week, he told his daughter something had shifted. The 3 p.m. crash that used to send him to the couch wasn't hitting nearly as hard. He was finishing the crossword in one sitting again, instead of 3. I want to be very honest with you about Frank's story. The same way I'd want someone to be honest with my own parents. It wasn't an overnight transformation. It wasn't a cure for anything. It was a small, steady improvement in energy and focus, which, frankly, is exactly what the real research would predict. That's the honest version of this story. Not a miracle. A small, sensible shift that made his ordinary mornings a little easier. For a lot of people, that's more than enough to be worth trying. I need to pause here and address something directly, because you may have seen other videos on this exact topic making much bigger claims. Claims like MCT oil starving cancer cells or reactivating your stem cells. I want to address that honestly, because you deserve that, especially on something this serious. There is real, ongoing research into how cancer cells use sugar for energy. Scientists call it the Warburg effect, named after the researcher who first described it decades ago. Some researchers are studying whether certain diets might support cancer treatment as an add-on to real medical care, in controlled clinical settings, under close medical supervision. But scientists are studying a dietary approach in cancer patients under medical supervision is a completely different sentence than, put this oil in your coffee and it starves your cancer. One is real, careful, ongoing science. The other is a shortcut that skips every bit of nuance, and it's the kind of shortcut that can genuinely hurt people. If someone hears, "this starves cancer cells," and believes a spoonful of oil is treatment, that could delay a phone call to a real doctor, delay a screening, or give false comfort when real medical care is what's actually needed. I'm not willing to risk that with you. The same goes for reactivating stem cells. There's no evidence that MCT oil in your coffee does this. It's a phrase that sounds impressive, and that's exactly why it gets used. Impressive sounding isn't the same as true, and you've earned decades of practice telling the difference. All right, let's get practical. How do you actually add this to your coffee, the right way, starting tomorrow morning? I'm going to walk you through it step by step, the same way I explained it to Frank's daughter. Step 1. Start small. Just half a teaspoon. Not a tablespoon, not a big splash, half a teaspoon. Your digestive system needs time to adjust, and starting too big is the single most common reason people give up on this before it has a chance to help. Step 2. Blend it in, don't just stir it. MCT oil and coffee don't mix well on their own. The oil floats on top and can feel greasy in your mouth. A small milk frother, or even shaking it in a jar with a lid, blends it into a smooth, creamy texture, almost like a light latte. Step 3. Always have it with a little food in your stomach, not on a completely empty stomach. This matters. I'll explain exactly why in the mistakes section coming up. because skipping this step is where most of the uncomfortable side effects happen. Step 4. Give it about a week before increasing the amount, and only go up if your body is handling it well. No upset stomach, no discomfort. Some people stay at half a teaspoon forever, and that's completely fine. This isn't a race. Now let's talk about the mistakes. This is the part most videos skip completely, and it's honestly the most important part for people your age. Mistake number 1. Pouring in too much, too fast. A tablespoon on day 1 can cause real stomach cramping, urgent bathroom trips, or nausea. Your gut has to adjust gradually. Half a teaspoon, truly. Mistake number 2. Taking it on a completely empty stomach with nothing else. That combination is what causes most of the discomfort people report. A small bite of food alongside it makes a real difference. Mistake number 3, and this one's important. Using it as a replacement for a meal, or worse, as a replacement for medication. MCT oil is a support, not a substitute. It doesn't replace breakfast, and it never, ever replaces what your doctor has prescribed you. Mistake number 4. Not checking with your doctor first if you take blood thinners, have gallbladder issues, liver conditions, or pancreatitis. MCT oil is processed by your liver and can interact with certain conditions and medications. A 2-minute phone call to your doctor or pharmacist can save you a lot of trouble. Mistake number 5. Expecting a miracle and giving up when it doesn't happen. If you're hoping this will melt away fat overnight or cure a serious illness, you'll be disappointed, because that's not what it does. But if you're hoping for what Frank found, steadier energy, a little more mental clarity, one small, sensible piece of a healthy routine, that's realistic and that's achievable. One more mistake worth mentioning: taking MCT oil late in the afternoon or evening. Remember, part of what it does is give you a steady source of usable energy. For some people, that's wonderful at 7 a.m. and unwelcome at 9 p.m. when you're trying to wind down for sleep. If you try this, keep it to your morning routine, at least until you know how your own body responds. Now, here's the part I promised you at the start: your own senior morning checklist. Write this down or take a screenshot so you have it ready tomorrow morning. Number 1. Check with your doctor first, especially if you have gallbladder, liver, or pancreas concerns, or take blood thinners. Number 2. Start with half a teaspoon of MCT oil, not more. Number 3. Blend it into your coffee with a small frother or a lidded jar. Number 4. Always pair it with a small bite of food, never a completely empty stomach. Number 5. Give your body about a week at that amount before considering more. Number 6. Keep taking any prescribed medications exactly as your doctor told you. This is an addition to your routine, never a replacement. And number 7. Pay attention to how you actually feel. Steadier energy is the goal. If something feels off, stop and check with your doctor. 7 simple steps. No guesswork, no gimmicks. Just a clear, safe way to try this if you decide it's right for you. So, who should think twice or check with a doctor before trying this? People with gallbladder disease or who've had their gallbladder removed, since it changes how you digest fats. People with liver conditions, since your liver is what processes MCT oil. People with pancreatitis. And anyone on blood-thinning medication, since fats can sometimes interact with how those medications work. None of that is meant to scare you. It's meant to respect you enough to give you the full picture, not just the exciting part. Here's what I really want you to take away from today. You've spent 60, 70, 80 years learning to spot the difference between someone who's honest with you and someone who's just trying to get your attention. Trust that instinct. When a video promises a miracle in a coffee cup, that instinct of yours is worth listening to. What's actually true is quieter than a miracle, but it's still worth having. A little steadier energy, a little less fog. One small, sensible addition to a morning that's already yours. The way it changed Frank's mornings, 1 cup at a time. Real wellness after 60 isn't found in a single spoonful of anything. It's built from small, honest habits. Moving a little each day, eating well, staying connected to people you love, and yes, sometimes something as simple as what you put in your coffee. None of it is flashy. All of it adds up. If this video gave you something honest and useful today, That's exactly what I set out to do. Talk to your doctor before starting anything new. Take care of yourself the way you'd tell someone you love to take care of themselves. And I'll see you in the next one.